The last time the Rallycross cars showed up for this series, it was a wild time at Zolder. But that is a tightly confined circuit compared to VIR. Wide open spaces, few walls, and only one rule means that drivers can get creative today. Let's see who paints with the fastest brush as we get ready to watch For Drink Friday, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Virginia International Raceway has taken off ever since it was reborn at the turn of the century. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. This track near the southern border of its namesake has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. With 2 decades of use in its modern incarnation and still drawing regular visits from IMSA and Trans Am, it's safe to say that VIR is back and thriving. The owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 7 versions are available to run on iRacing, with viewing areas that include posh villas near South Bend that can be rented by fans. The track's long and complex layout has earned it some colorful corner names too. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, fast cars lacking downforce are sent through the terrifying climbing S's and spit out of the steep drop of South Bend. Of course, there's perhaps the most famous turn of Oak Tree, which has sadly lost its eponymous flora in real life, but is retained here in the virtual world. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery in order to get the most out of a lap. As you'd expect, the high number of corners makes passing rather difficult. Add in the fact that many of them are dangerously swift, and track position can wind up being a major factor in races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life. Well, Nick, we've had all kinds of cars racing here at VIR in the past on this channel, but I believe this is the first time we've seen Rallycross cars take it on. How are they going to handle here, especially with the unique rules that we have?
Yeah, I think you are certainly right there, Joe. I mean, VIR in Alton, Virginia, it's been used for motorcycles in Moto America, IMSA sports cars, even NASCAR stock cars. But like you said, never anything quite like this. Now, this track design here at VIR, that's going to come in handy for these drivers today. It was actually originally created by a couple of guys riding on a bulldozer, and one of them was throwing out sandbags out the back to mark the configuration of the track. Now, in the process, over these rolling hills, they cleared out a lot of space. They're going to be able to use that to their advantage today. That's unlike Zolder, like you mentioned last week. This is going to be like going from a ping pong table worth of real estate to a football field and then some. At some tracks, we sometimes market it as a driver's track. This is a track that the driver likes to really get around himself and handle. Today, I think the rolling hills of the Old Dominion are really going to push that title to its limits.
No doubt about that. And before we get to that racing and see it, let's talk about our sponsors, starting with Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. As well as Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Let's take a look at the race info and what we're in for today. And as we mentioned, For Drink Friday with the Rallycross cars. Now, it is VIR's full course, but as we mentioned, they are allowed to get creative. The one rule that we keep mentioning is they only have to go around Oak Tree and, of course, crossing the start-finish line. How they get from one side to the other is kind of up to them, whatever they can make fast today. Now, the kink in all of that is in this 40-minute race, they must drink 4 12-ounce beverages of their choice. It
has to be of a certain alcohol level. So you can't just take 4 shots. That's why they specify 12-ounce beverages. And it is fixed setup, so they don't have to worry about trying to get these things all tuned in to what is a very unusual track for them. But really, how they use the drinks, how they time them out, and how they use all the open space at this track is probably going to be the stories that we're talking about a lot, as we always do in this series. One thing that I just found struck me, Nick, as I hopped out because I was curious enough that I wanted to get in the car and just see what it's like. There's a lot of jumps off this track that you don't really consider. So I feel like that might make a difference out there.
Yeah, I mean, logically, what you would think is you'd want to get around here, of course, as fast as possible. There's a lot of places that you can cut the track here. But just because these cars are capable of going off road, going into the dirt and into the grass, it doesn't mean it's going to be quicker. So the drivers are really going to have to weigh out that risk versus reward today. There's a couple different places, especially up and down this snake, and in the first couple of turns, those hard right-handers that they're definitely going to have to be analyzing behind the wheel.
Right now, they're in the middle of qualifying, although it won't make too much of a difference as we only have 9 cars out here today. And Corey Lotvilla, for what it's worth, has that provisional pole. Now, you may have noticed next to his name and a few others, you're seeing a DD next to that. That is for designated driver. They want to be inclusive here, so you don't have to drink necessarily if you want to compete. And so that way they can have people of all ages and sensibilities coming out for some fun. Now, the way that they keep it even, though, since the drivers who do drink have to stop when they take their drink. They're not allowed to be in motion when they drink their beverage. Everybody who is a designated driver today must do 5 drive-through stop-and-go penalties throughout the race, and that should even them out to take about the same amount of time, hopefully, as those who will be downing drinks. BJ Fulton still yet to set a competitive time, it appears. And we're going to check out Corey Lotvilla, who's coming around Oak Tree, and one of the few places where, well, it is a straight line that's paved here, Nick, so it makes sense to hang out on it.
Yeah, but what I'm really interested to see is how they're going to approach Oak Tree, because it is that famous double apex hairpin to the right hand, but it's the tire barrier around the old Oak Tree is quite directly just in that second apex, so you can still cut the grass to approach it. And we know from seeing cars that normally run on this track, sports cars and so on, that the Oak Tree is probably one of the most crucial corners at this track, because you have to get all of that momentum mode up and down at Madison Avenue. It's going to become crucial, especially as they go down into the further parts, down into Hog Pen and so forth, down into the roller coaster.
No doubt. I wonder if we'll even see drafting. Not something you usually hear about and talk about in rallycross cars. And now this is interesting. Corey's going to try and cut the course. Now, this lap obviously won't count for qualifying. I was talking to one of the organizers. He said cutting the course at turn 1 like he did was not quicker. So I almost wonder if it maybe is a bit of a toss-up. Maybe we'll see some drivers try it, some not.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with Corey Lotvilla's time. I mean, I'm not sure if that 150 that he just set was because he cut the first corner, but he is on top of the boards right now, and obviously whatever he's doing, he's making it work out there.
Got Michael Johnson currently in second. He's another one of our DDs, as he typically is, known for being a wheelman both here in the sim and in real life. And hence why he is a designated driver. His day job takes him to coaching people on the day after, so he can't necessarily be drinking in these Friday evenings. But he is going to try and wheel it around, go quicker than this 52.1. Has to make up about 1.3 seconds to take the pole. So let's take a look at Andrew Rasmussen. He's coming down the boulevard, and let's see if he manages to stay on track. The answer is no.
I think this right here is going to be the best spot. Oh, and just as I say that, Rasmussen just about loses it. And he will indeed go sideways. I think if you can get that set of hills perfected, that's going to be by far your best chance to cut the track to gain up some ground.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet in the race many will be trying to plow through there, but it might not always go well. And BJ Fulton continues on as another cutting of the first corner there for Corey Latvala. Seems to like that one. Maybe just practice it, see if he can maximize it and actually make it quicker. Also getting information on Michael Bolton. Even though he doesn't have the DD next to his name, he is saying that he will be a designated driver tonight. So if we see him come into the pits, don't be too surprised. In the meantime, up through the gears, and BJ Fulton sitting 5th on the timing sheets, picks up the pace and comes towards the crest.
Let's see what kind of line he takes through here.
Looks like
pretty
he's
moderate.
I was going to say, I think he's actually trying to keep it on course. Now, for those not familiar with the iRacing service, if they go off course, their lap is discounted. So while they have special rules for the race here, where they're allowing them to go off course in the qualifying, that is not something they can change. If they want a qualifying lap, they have to stick on the pavement within the boundaries of the racetrack. As he crosses a 54.1 is much quicker, and that'll put BJ up into 3rd. Trying to see if we got anybody else trying to actually make a competitive time. Most of them I'm seeing are just weaving their way through the grass, using this as more practice, especially if they've already got a time down. We're only waiting on 3 cars yet to set one: Rasmussen, Oost, and Schulem. And you may have noticed as well that we have 2 makes of cars that the drivers have chosen from here today: the Volkswagen Beetle, and this one, the Subaru, the WRX. So this is a multi-make style of racing here in iRacing. And I think the other one they have is the Ford Focus, but not seeing anybody deciding on using that one today.
No, doesn't look like it. Looks like just Subarus and Volkswagens out there, but it is 2 Subarus topping the charts. Those 2 designated drivers up, like we were just talking about, Corey Latvala and Michael Johnson, both in the Subaru.
Should be pretty evenly matched, so shouldn't expect them to be drastically different in pace. However, handling characteristics can be different, so hopefully the drivers have picked one that they are comfortable with. 2.5 minutes left on the qualifying, still waiting for the 10, the 73, and the 7 to put a time down if they want it. They should hopefully have time, as we're just under 2 minutes for lap times. So that should give them a chance to get back around and start a flyer if they aren't right now, like we see on board here with Michael W. Johnson. The last lap, not an improvement, though, and he's going to send it in sideways, so this one not going to count for him, as another car is taken to the line that we've been seeing from Latvala. I see BJ Fulton doing very similar now. And now, the other thing that we need to talk about is, of course, the use of the drinking. And it's going to sound kind of strange, but I guess it's sort of like pit stop strategies for those not familiar, Nick. But because they have to make those stops, and because, well, the drinking will have an effect on you most likely, drivers kind of have their plan, their ideal way of going about when to take the drinks and how.
Yeah, at this point, I think a lot of them know their own pace. They know exactly. I'm sure a lot of them have a strategy coming into this. Of course, like you said, the effect that takes into that the drinks have effect on the drivers, that might alter their strategy making just a little bit throughout the race. But it'll be interesting to see. You don't want to do too much early or too much late, I would think. You'd want to maybe pace yourself out, but these drivers certainly know better than us. They're the ones out there.
Yeah, we've seen some pace themselves out, and we've seen some try to down them all as early as possible. I guess it's how well you can hold your alcohol, which, while we have you on that topic for the moment, we do want to remind our audience to please drink responsibly. And this is a simulation. This is not real life, so please do not drink and drive. Leave it to these guys to have fun here in the sim. Latvala absolutely flying there at nearly 100 plus through the grass before he returns to the track to see these last 30 seconds out. He's just having some fun at this point.
That might be good practice later on. He might find a bump or, a little divot that someone else hasn't discovered yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess it'd be good to explore as much of the track as possible to make sure that you don't get caught out by something you had no idea was there. I know it definitely, like I said, when I went out to try and test it out, there's a few places where I was like, oh, I didn't know it was that drastic of a drop. Just finishing up their flying laps. If anybody is on a clean one. Not sure if we do, though. I think everybody's essentially out here just messing around. John Momeyer is definitely one of them. So he's going to send his Beetle around. Oh, can he get it around? Just about. Keeps it out of the wall. It's not the fast line, I don't think. With less than 2 minutes to wrap up, just Latvala. And no, actually only Momeyer. He's the only one that is out rolling right now. Everybody else has finished up. So John just going to show us if he can get across. Nope, not quite. He's going to hit that Armco barrier and be done with it, unfortunately. So we'll let that clock time out here, and then we'll get started with 40 minutes of racing for 4 Drink Friday here at VIR for the second time using those rallycross cars. I'm excited for this, Nick. This is always some of the most fun we have each month here on iRacing.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this one, Joe. I think these drivers are all looking forward to it too. That's one of the great things about this kind of racing is, you know, you don't have to stress about it. They have not been putting hours on end into a setup with their team before this. They're just going to go out there and literally just kick back and have a good time.
So as that clock finishes out, again, a big thank you to our sponsors today for helping make this happen. Of course, Sunset Mortgage, as we mentioned, Octavio Tequila, and Century Financial Consultants for all chipping in and make these events come to life. 9 drivers taking part today. It might not sound like a lot, but as you can tell from the warm-up and the qualifying, action is plentiful in these 4 Drink Fridays, so you will not be wanting for stuff to happen and usually get some of the weirdest moments that we've seen here on the Global SimRacing Channel with these races. Last couple seconds, beautiful scenery here at Virginia International Raceway, even here in the virtual version. Though sad that we don't have the oak tree in real life anymore, so that has since fallen, though they are growing a new one that is the son of the oak tree on the outside of that corner. So its lineage has been saved. Looks like they're gridding up, so let's go through that starting order. It is going to be Corey Latvala starting in the pole with Michael W. Johnson in second, BJ Fulton P3, and Michael Bolton in fourth. What's the latter half like, Nick?
Mark Rondeau and John Momeyer are going to be back there, the one in the 96. And then the drivers that did not set a qualifying time, but it looks like they're all going to be gridding up. Michael Ost, Andrew Rasmussen, and Jeffrey Schulem back in 9th place, rounding out the field in his Subaru.
Just about have all 9 of them out there, and it is a standing start, as is traditional for rallycross cars. So we wait for Johnson, Fulton, and Ost to wrap it up. Often we see at least one driver not take off from the grid, pull off to the side, and take 1 or 2 drinks just to get them out of the way and get themselves some clear space. We'll see if anybody employs that this time to stay out of the chaos of who goes where. A wide open first corner that has multiple lines. Not quite a joker lap for these rallycross cars, but almost could be. I think we're waiting on Michael Ost now to put himself on the grid, and he's got about 30 seconds to do so. Just biding his time, waiting for them to be ready. There he is. So the engines start to rev as the lights come up. Oh, and it's a false start for Latvala. Green flag is out. Now they can clear the black flags. I'm not sure if he is going to be able to clear that or not. And it looks like Rondeau and Rasmussen are going to take drinks at the start here. They did not go. Most everybody deciding to go with the pavement. A couple others are going to be slow in the grass, but Latvala leads away.
Yeah, I think that pavement was a smart move for the first lap. Rasmussen actually, I don't think stopped to take a drink. I think he kept going, stopped and hesitated for a bit. Schulem's on his way. Oh, and they're wrecking.
Yeah, that was Bolton and I believe Ost that came together there. And now we got Schulem involved. And John Momeyer, looks like Michael W. Johnson was off as well. I wonder how many of these guys have been pre-gaming.
Yeah, BJ Fulton is sitting backwards right now. He is right now taking, or no, he's not. He's got himself squared the right direction at least, but he is taking his drink right there. He's decided he's wrecked. He might as well take the first one.
I can report that Latvala did look like he cleared his black flag with that jump start. Since he didn't take off, I think they're going to allow that to stand. And if I'm seeing right, BJ Fulton has already finished 2 beers, so he may be a ways behind on that tower, but he is certainly going to be able to jump a few people once they take their stops.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to help him further out through this race. There you see him just go straight through the snake. Got to watch out for those little gazebos.
And Bolton has beached himself. Bolton is on top of the tires. Look at this. Oh, he's going to get some help.
Oh, my gosh.
That was Rasmussen who ran into him to get him going. Let's take a look. Can we see how he got there? Let's see if we can back that up enough. Here it is.
Oh, he must have stopped to... Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I knew we would have some drivers that had problems going over the barriers. I didn't think they'd get stuck on top of them.
Wow.
Just parks it.
Completely up there. And Rasmussen with a little bit of help.
To the rescue, yeah. The assist. So Rasmussen now runs in 8th position, and Bolton runs in 6th. Looks like Bolton may have taken one of his as well, if I'm seeing correctly on my markers. And I told you they're able to get creative at this track without the black flags on. And I mean, take your pick. They are all over this track. I saw Mark Rondeau over at the side of the track as well. Looks like he ran into Jeffrey Schulem as he was trying to get going. So neither of them, I don't think, took their drinks.
So it looks like Latvala has gone with the strategy to just sail away and create as much of a gap as he can right now.
He still has to take a stop and go penalties to count for his drinks.
Yeah.
He's not done any of them quite yet, and I'm watching. Yeah, he's not coming in this time. Oh, speaking of creative lines, that is Ost going through the support pits and then right back out in front of Momeyer.
I don't think we've ever seen a slide job here at VIR, but he just put on a good one. Oh, he's going to lose the position, though. But I think he's going to...
That is John Momeyer having to take a tow. That is what you do not want here. So Momeyer, unfortunately, not going to get the assist, and that will cost him time. So even though the cars, as you can tell, have damage turned off, they are not impervious to some setbacks.
Yeah, just a little too much heat in there for that time. He's got 35 minutes to make it up.
Yeah, still plenty of time for things to switch around, and the usual chaos will probably offer him up a few shots to be able to do something. Momeyer has been in pit lane. Did he also wind up stuck somewhere? Oh, no, he was the one in stuck in the barrier. Schulem is the other one that is in, and I'm trying to see what sent him in there. I don't think Jeffrey... Oh, he was stuck on his side.
This is interesting, yeah. And I think he had some help. I don't know if he had help getting turned over or if someone tried to knock him. Looks like it was BJ Fulton that actually turned him over incidentally.
Yeah, unfortunately, won't get a replay of that one. So he's having to wait a long time for the tow to get back out racing. This is the VW of Rasmussen in the 10. But Latvala, 27 seconds ahead of the nearest car, which is Michael W. Johnson at this stage. Neither of them, I believe, have come through the pits. Oh, and Johnson got held up at the Armco coming through the roller coaster. So he's going to lose out to Ost, who's now by. Let's take a look at the replay of Johnson. This is surprisingly tricky when you don't have pavement and you're trying to cut through there.
Yeah, that pavement, I think, sticks up out of the grass quite a bit. And so if you just hit that ledge a little bit, it'll flick your back tires up. I think that's what happened to Johnson here. See? Right there, yeah, just hits that little divot.
Ooh, he almost went all the way over the railing and into the woods, and that would be an automatic tow if that happens. So he's quite lucky that he got stopped, if anything. Ost still ahead of him by small margins as he tries to chase him down. Now 7 minutes into this race. Love seeing these cars just dance over the landscape as they are able to do, compared to most cars, obviously. Just flying his way in the straightest line he can make.
He's trying to get that position back from Ost, who took it away. Ost just got around the oak tree, lines himself up nicely, but Johnson a little bit finicky there on the handbrake. Didn't get a great launch.
Yeah, just a little bit out into the grass, and it appeared he did want to stay on the pavement there at the start of that corner, and it didn't work out. That loses him a couple seconds to Ost. He's going to try and cut through the roller coaster, and so does Ost. This time a little cleaner for both of them. Now Latvala has been in and out with his first stop and go. So there's one done for Corey Latvala. Remember, he has to take 5, so 4 more stops in his future. It's now down to 16.9 seconds to Michael Ost. Michael is one that does need to take drinks. I'm trying to see if he's done any so far, and I'm not seeing any marked down for him.
I'll tell you who's looking pretty good right now is BJ Fulton, who just has 1 beer left.
Did he do his third? Yes, he did. Wow. Okay, then. So the 277, who's got a minute and 36 to make up to Corey Latvala, only has to make 1 more stop. Now he's going to go by Shulam, who's a lap down. Looks like Shulam may be stopping to take one of his drinks. You know, one of the rules that they have for the drinks, Nick, is that they have to pull off the racing line. How do you determine what's the racing line here?
I mean, Shulam stopped right next to the porta potty, so he's got that figured out.
Just in case he needs to unleash some of that.
That's a great strategy.
BJ Fulton is in pit lane, and looks like, is that a stop and go? Because I don't see a DD next to his name. Wonder if because no, Fulton, yeah, no, BJ is drinking beer, so that might be an actual stop he has to make, because these things do have very small fuel cells. So perhaps we'll see drivers having to take a few stops for fuel. And I do seem to recall, I think they can go 5 laps on a tank of fuel. So yeah, that seems about right. And Michael W. Johnson also in.
Yeah, it's about 16 miles that they're able to go. So that's going to be, probably about 3 stops tonight?
I think, yeah, around that. That sounds about right.
They might be cutting it close. They've made it almost exactly 10 minutes. So if they, line that up with the 20-minute mark and the 10-minute mark, they might be cutting it close there to the end.
That's a good point. It'll depend on how far along the leader is.
Right. And it's a long lap around here, too.
So Rondeau also taking fuel. We're going to check Rasmussen behind him. Looks like he's taking a scheduled stop. taking tires. Kind of don't blame them. Bet they are really getting eaten up, especially with all the sliding they're doing around here. Our leader, Latvala, is about 12 seconds ahead of Oost now, so Michael's been reeling him in. Oh, and Latvala just ran into Momeyer, sends him into space.
Momeyer was coming back on the track.
Let's take a look at that. I just happened to glance over it as it was happening. Wonder if you couldn't see him. Let's try and see an onboard here for Latvala. See if you could actually see him coming, or if it was just he couldn't avoid him in time.
He was getting himself turned back around.
Yeah, I mean, he was behind a crest, so couldn't really make him out, and that's why he ran right into him. I think Rondeau's had a drink. I see him marked down for one of them. We got somebody else in. This is Oost. Okay, so Oost taking service, but not taking tires yet.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if it's quicker to do fuel only. This is not a car I'm familiar with what the pit stop rules are on, since they don't usually make them.
I think they can do fuel and tires at the same time, because I was seeing other drivers get jacked up as soon as they entered the box.
Okay, then. So don't know why he elected not to do it then. Latvala still leads. Johnson, now that Oost is in second. So Michael W. is, 54 seconds behind Corey Latvala. He's lost a lot of time. They're basically half a lap apart from one another. Latvala looking to try and lap Rondeau now. Oh, and he's going to send both he and Rondeau around. They almost went out of bounds as well. Both of them able to get going. This will cost Corey a little bit of time, but we have to wait a long time before Michael gets close to him, and the timing and scoring can catch up and give us an accurate read. Corey is already on lap 8 here. So he's only got a couple more laps before he has to come in for another pit stop.
Yeah.
Rondeau having trouble figuring out where the track is through the horseshoe.
You know, it's interesting. I'm seeing more and more of these drivers be a little bit more conservative through all of the off-roading parts. I just saw Michael Oost slow it down really big, just to take it, really gently down through the snake. And I'm not sure if it saved him time, but he certainly didn't end up in the tires.
I wonder if all the crazy bumps and things that we're seeing, guys flying off the course, has kind of taught them that slow is fast here today. And Oost, I was going to say, you're heading the wrong way. You can't go through that tire barrier and marshal post, but he managed to avoid it. Latvala did not lose a lot of time. It was 56 seconds. It's down to 49 seconds. So Johnson really made minimal inroads as we watch Oost come through. He's a minute 9 behind Corey Latvala and about 20 seconds behind Michael Johnson. So, still have all 9 running, but only 6 are on the lead lap. That's Latvala, Johnson, Oost, Rasmussen, Fulton, and Bolton. Rondeau and Momeyer are 1 lap down, and Schulem is 2 laps down.
Rasmussen trying to catch up to Oost, trying to get that last spot on the podium. He was about 2 seconds behind him. Now he finds himself about 4.5.
Interesting to note, he started from 8th. He's up to 4th, so
wow.
He's done a good job proving the qualifying doesn't mean everything here. Through the climbing S's and down towards South Bend. Going to try and keep it on the track. Yeah, I think in some cases it seems like that pavement actually is a little bit faster.
And he's been following Michael Oost, who I just noted was doing the exact same thing. I think he might be onto something there, as he is over in that backstretch pit lane.
Yeah, he's taking another drink. And let's see, how many has he had before? Double checking here. If he's had any.
I don't see any.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any of that. I think that is his first. But he didn't mark it down, so hard to tell. If he didn't mark this one, maybe he didn't mark the others.
True.
And that is Bolton for position behind him. As we watch Fulton ahead of them. Sending it through hog pin, but getting a little bit out of control. Oh, and Bolton just ran into Rasmussen, who lost it coming over the roller coaster.
Yeah, he just hooked him. Had too much momentum through the air and just tagged his quarter panel like that. Let's take a look at this again.
It was a little more ambitious through there. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you see Bolton just closing in there. And just jumps through. Like you said, a little more ambitious than Rasmussen was. Just ended up tagging him.
Latvala's already in for pit service, and now he's rolling. So he continues to hold the lead. Michael W. Johnson isn't even to the pit lane yet. With still a long ways to go. And I think this is going to be more drivers coming in for pit stops. Since we are at the end of lap 9 for most of them, except for Corey, who has already started his 10th circuit. Johnson just bouncing that car up and over the hills. Let's see if he comes in this time or if he was able to save some fuel. No, he's staying out. Interesting.
Yeah, if he feels like he's got enough, he can maybe jump up a spot here. Or at least get closer. Not sure if he'd be able to make the full jump.
Ost also stays out. Maybe it's just that Corey Latvala has been so quick, he's using a whole lot more.
That's true.
So what happened to Rondeau? We saw him sideways on the track there. This is coming through the climbing S's.
Good so far.
Oh, he's coming in very, very hot. Way too hot. Oh, and he keeps it from hitting anything. And gets it turned around eventually, just as Latvala approaches from behind. Looks like BJ Fulton is in for fuel. And Corey Latvala is on the lane again. I'm guessing this is another one of his... Yep, okay, stop and go for Corey Latvala. Came to a complete halt and then was on his way. BJ Fulton has finished his 4th beer. And looks like Michael Bolton also taking one of his. Digging the Barbie Dream Car Volkswagen Beetle. Both of them
shortcut there.
Yeah, both of them electing to try and cut it short through turn 1. So what has this done? Have we changed order at all? Doesn't look like it. Still Latvala ahead of Johnson, ahead of Ost, ahead of Rasmussen. Michael's cut it down to about 42 seconds behind Corey Latvala. Has Johnson come in for a stop in the last couple, though?
He has not.
Ooh.
Going on 5 laps now for him.
I wonder if he's able, if he's lifting and coasting in a few places. Rasmussen, that is the support pit, so I believe this is another of his drinks. Yes. Now he goes. He'll lose 4th place to Mark Rondeau, who went on by, and that is our leader Latvala, who is going to be able to overtake him. Fulton being chased by Michael Bolton. It's going to get a little bit of that slipstream, 160 miles an hour as they speed along. He's going to take to the grass. Now, last time this happened, he unfortunately got into the side of another car. He's going to be clean. Wow, he threaded the needle on that one.
And look at the reward. Way behind now is BJ Fulton.
No, but he went maybe a little too hot through there. He's still off into the grass as Fulton,
here comes Fulton.
Is on the pavement. He's going to be able to accelerate a little bit better.
Another right-hander. They're going to be neck and neck. It's going to be a drag race when they get back to it. And Bolton going to cut back across the track. Oh, man.
Wow, so they came out just about even in all of that. So that's kind of funny that going on the grass and just keeping it planted just about little bit of miscommunication into NASCAR Bend. And they're going to be able to get going naturally, but Fulton will be ahead of Bolton this time. And Michael W. Johnson finally pits in with less than 20 minutes to go. He's joined by Ost and Momeyer. I think, I'm starting to think that Johnson is doing like you were saying, Nick, that trying to just stretch the fuel so that he can make one less stop compared to all the others.
Yeah, and he is a designated driver tonight, so he's going to be having to juggle a couple of pit strategies there.
Yeah, so he'll have to come in to those pit stops and actually take his stop and goes. Meanwhile, looking back at Fulton once again, much farther ahead of Bolton now by about 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, Michael did not have that good of a lap, went a little bit wide. Yeah, let's see. He's going to be aggressive. Ooh, big bumps up there for Fulton. That's going to allow Bolton to close in. And I think he remembers that he got dumped, but Bolton's going to go off into the tires.
Oh, and it's a big hit. Unfortunately, that will absolutely cost him quite a bit of time. And that's allowing Mark Rondeau to catch up to him. Oh, but Mark almost went off course himself, so he has to back it up and, well, no, he's parking it. He's taking a drink. Okay, Rondeau with another one. Going to see how many others he's had. I think this is his second, I believe, for Rondeau. So here's our leader once again. Up and into Oak Tree, drifting it out of there and on his way. One thing I don't have is trying to figure out how many stop and goes Latvala has actually done and how many of them are actual pit stops. So I guess technically 2 of them should be pit stops at this point.
Yeah, because he took fuel both times. He would have had to.
Quite as crazy down through Hogpen and timed it perfect into there, but behind him, that was Jeffrey Shulam. Let's take a look at it. Another bad bounce, essentially. Let's go on board.
Shulam's been struggling tonight. 3 laps down from Latvala. Initially cuts across left like so many drivers do tonight. Yeah, just a little bit. He's not digging deep enough. If you're going to send it, you got to send it.
And we have a pass for second as Michael W. Johnson just went by Ost at Oak Tree. Now it's going to be a drag race down the boulevard. Who has got the better top end?
First time we've seen Volkswagen versus Subaru. Ost in the Volkswagen, getting by him, gets his nose in front.
Looks like both of them going to elect to go through the grass here. Up and over the crest. Oh! Almost goes into the back of Ost, and his evasive action spins him out. Michael Johnson finds the pavement and gets moving once again, but what was a couple tenths has become a few seconds instead. Let's take a look at the replay.
He might have tagged the rear wing here.
Yeah, you could tell he was trying not to touch him. He didn't want to turn him around, but looks like maybe in his haste of braking, well, maybe it was just the bounce.
Yeah, I think so. And Johnson just spun himself out on pit lane as well to make matters worse. He's going to lose a couple more seconds because of that.
Well, that was weird. Guess I think he was trying to do his stop and go, so it cost him a little bit more. We're looking at Momeyer now.
That's Rondeau in front of him that he's going to, I believe, run into up here.
Well, let's stay with this because he takes a shortcut that I don't think is quicker, but he kind of had to. Oh, what a big hit into him. Now watch this. Let's stay with it. He's going to try and get going, but we said it's wide open here. Unfortunately, a little too open because he suddenly realizes I can't get to the track. And now, thankfully, there's an access point right there, and he sneaks through.
That's what they put that there for.
Exactly. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, so an update. Latvala still leads, although I think he's taking a fuel stop.
He's in, yeah.
Oost is in second and quickly approaching. Latvala. Okay, now Latvala goes just as Oost comes up to the pit entry.
Was that a fuel stop for Latvala? He was just in a lap ago, wasn't he?
Yes, but I think that must have been a stop and go before.
Oh, right.
Looks like Bolton rather. Bolton is in his stall, so this looks like fuel to me. And did Michael W. Johnson have an issue? Yeah, don't need a replay, but another hit with the barrier through the roller coaster. A lot of drivers have been doing that today. He's now in third behind Michael Oost by nearly half a minute. Oost has caught up to Latvala to roughly 11 seconds now that Corey took a stop. This is Oost on screen now. Cars almost look graceful the way that they just dance over those hills.
He's got that line figured out.
Very much so.
Perfectly.
Wow.
Right back on track. Oh, a little bit wide, but
it's impressive, honestly. Because you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere in that field, so there's no brake markers for you.
Can't imagine there's a lot to store in the back of your head to memorize there. No markers that you can see.
Rondeau and Rasmussen had some trouble coming into the snake. Let's check that out. Let's look at the replay. So here they are coming into NASCAR Bend. Oh, way wide through there. That slows him up a little bit. That's Rondeau a little faster. And unfortunately, they meet in the middle.
Oh, yeah. Just come together at the wrong time. Looks like they were both going to run wide. Two different ends of the racetrack came together.
They're both rolling again. Still in sixth for Rondeau, seventh for Rasmussen. So BJ Fulton is now taking service. This looks like fuel and not a stop and go. Michael W. Johnson with his stop and go. Okay, so there's another one for the 9. Michael W. still 36 seconds behind Michael Oost. Believe, if I'm seeing correctly, our top 3 are all DDs today.
Yeah, that might be the faster strategy.
We've seen DDs win in this series before, so it's not unheard of. But I think some of them still have plenty of stops for stop and go penalties to serve, while some of our drinkers are done with their 4 beverages. So Corey Latvala towards the sun. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, BJ Fulton was the first one that he was the one that at least noted that he was done with his 4 drinks. Got him in very early, and I was watching. He was back in 8th place at the time he took that 4th drink, and he's fought his way back up to 5th. So he's on the move.
It's still a lap down from Latvala. In fact, he's got basically a lap have to make up to the lead.
That is going to be tough for him and for others.
Well, what's Bolton off? And he's going to do the same thing that we saw before. He's going to discover.
Maybe he won't discover.
Oh, don't go backwards. Oh, if he gets disqualified from this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he made it.
He had to hold his breath to do that.
He kept going forward. He could have gone through. Wasn't quite as aware as we saw from Momeyer, it seems. Ost is in. And I believe Schulem. Yeah, Ost and Schulem both taking fuel. And tires for Schulem. So let's see. Coming down to lap 16. Yeah, so this should be... Well, no, it's not going to be the last stop for a lot of those guys. If this is another fuel stop, I think. No, it will be. If it's less... Yeah, because it's less than 10 minutes. It's 2 minutes a lap. Do math, Joe. As they continue on through the left hook and into the snake there. So yeah, anybody who is able to make it this far, make a stop, which includes, I think, Corey Lotvala. No, he's doing his stop and go. Okay, so that was the stop and go for Corey Lotvala. And he rolls on. Michael W. Johnson's actually just coming out of Oak Tree right now, still with plenty of time to make up.
And that all goes back to what Latvala did at the very start of this race, which was just get out there from the pole, build a huge cushion. I think he had it about 30 seconds, and then start to make the stops. And at that point, it looks like no one's going to be able to catch him.
Not right now, anyways. You never know, though. If he has a bad bounce, if he gets stuck somewhere, has to take a tow, that gap can go away very quickly. Michael W. Johnson, I think, also serving a stop and go.
Looks like that, yeah.
Maybe not. He's coming towards his pit stall. And he's stopping in his pit stall. I think this is actually fuel for Johnson.
Right. Yeah.
Ost is going to overtake him as he flies by. Only Lotvala, Ost, and Johnson are the three on the lead lap currently. Everybody else a lap down or more. Here's our second place driver now. Yeah, you know, the more I look at it, between that cut course through turn one and the drivers who take the regular racing line, it seems like it is something of a toss-up, so take your pick.
Looks like Bolton is closing back in on Fulton. Remember, they had come together about half a dozen laps ago. And then Bolton got turned by BJ Fulton. He's been trying to track him down ever since.
He's within about 2 seconds of that 277 with 6 minutes left to go. Just outside of the podium, these two. Well, I say just outside, but Fulton's got actually a minute 45 to Michael W. Johnson.
Oh, that was a big hop for Fulton.
And Bolton is flying through there. Oh, but he goes on the opposite side.
That's going to hurt him.
Yeah, I think that's not, doesn't carry the momentum as well, it looks like. So BJ able to pull away as they cross the line. Looks like, yeah, up to about 3 seconds because of that mistake, unfortunately.
Differing lines here. Oh, and a bad one for Bolton. Almost gets into the gazebo there. Oh, and he does. He gets tagged. Oh, man.
W. Johnson, I think, is taking another stop and go. This might be his last one. There he goes. He is on his way. And Michael Ost is stopped on the inside of the track. Now, I thought he was a designated driver today. No, I was thinking of Bolton, excuse me. So that was a drink for Ost. So then, is Ost our highest drinker then?
Yeah, he must be.
saving them for late, potentially, which doesn't bode well because Latvala is so far ahead. And Corey is taking another stop go. Or is he doing fuel? This might be fuel. He's in his stall. Yeah, this is a fuel stop, so that's not one of his stop goes.
That could come back to him. It depends on where everyone else is on fuel.
He seemed to stop a lap earlier than everybody else, so
Right.
I think he just realized I can't get to the end. Boost is having a really hard time at Oak Tree right now. And that actually gives W. Johnson a chance to close it down to about 8 seconds. Here's the incident with the 73.
Yeah, just might be a little disoriented there. There's 5 oak trees over there he's got to get through.
Oh, excuse me, that's Ost on Schulem. I thought that was Johnson closing on Ost. No, that is a lapped car that Michael is coming up to. 3 minutes left on the clock. Not too many laps left to go. Hopefully our designated drivers have taken their stop and goes and wrapped them up, or at least as close to doing so. Looks like Johnson just finished his. Ooh, he cut that close there towards the gazebo.
Just about had to come to a complete stop there to make it work.
Now, BJ Fulton. Where did BJ?
He went for a little bit of a ride.
I think he tried to cut through a part he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah, he tried to cut through the Patriot course.
He did. So that really technically should not count for him. They must go around Oak Tree. So they didn't have many rules. You had one job, buddy.
Oh, well, it looks like the track didn't allow him to anyway.
And unfortunately, he just ran into Mark Rondeau and I think is stuck in the wall. So he might have to take a tow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was stuck, so he had to take a tow. Our leader down to 2 minutes left, but he should get around in time for the white flag to fly. He's got 52 seconds over Michael Ost. And unless Corey has to make another stop and go, he's basically got half a lap of a lead over any other cars around him.
It looks like he's taken 4, right? So
has he taken 4 stop and goes? Because don't forget he's done fuel stops.
Fuel stops
in there
as well. Yeah, exactly.
He's got to take 5 stop and goes to be legitimate at the end. Now he could serve that here as long as he's got enough time.
I mean, he's gonna have to try.
Where is that going to put him in regards to Ost? I don't think Michael's close enough to overtake him, but it'll certainly be costly on time. He can't make any mistakes if that's the case. There's Ost through the climbing S's. Latvala is approaching the pit entry right now, and he stays out. Hopefully he's got them all in then, as he takes the white flag, 1 to go.
Ost just about ended up in the tire barriers. He gets back going.
The good news for Michael is he's actually pulled away from W. Johnson. So it's about 20 seconds between those two. Most of our battles, sadly, have fallen apart from one another. But it has been quite the display for the number 5. Running that Subaru up at the front, never looking like he's going to hand it over. In fact, I'm pretty certain he's led every lap of this race. Coming out of the snake now, under the VW bridge and towards the climbing S's. He has to keep the car clean. He can't flip it over. He can't get stuck in the wall. He's not slowing down, though. He's going full tilt.
Good for him. I think I might personally go a little bit conservative with that big of a lead, but he's going for it, and he made it work with style.
Picture perfect through the oak tree. Now all he has to do is run up the boulevard, down the roller coaster, and to the line, and he has got another win on Ford Drink Friday. Still at 1:15 ahead of Michael Ost. This is the trouble zone. Most cars have found themselves stuck or turned over at this point on the track, but that one looked a little bit more timid than some of the others we've seen, and understandably so. So, coming out of the final corner, oh, he's coming in. Is he going to try and serve it here? He might be trying to serve it here. I'm not sure if they're going to count it, but it'll take the checkered flag in the pit lane as Latvala is your winner. A Michael Schumacher situation here for the Californian.
He starts to celebrate. Here's Michael Ost trying to make it back, claim his second place step on the podium. Got to get around that oak tree one last time.
He's lost 10 seconds to Michael W. Johnson. Oh, but Michael is he's having trouble coming up to Oak Tree. He took a horrible line, so that might cost him. Ost now onto the pavement and running along. As long as he doesn't mess up the roller coaster, he's got a second place in his hands. Only 3 cars still on the lead lap. So once our podium finishes, that's pretty much it.
I think Johnson might be out of fuel.
Oh, no. So him trying to stretch it did not work out in the end, unfortunately. Oh, no. Michael Ost, however, is going to come to the line and take second place as Johnson. I don't think Johnson will make it. So is this going to score Johnson in third still, or will Fulton get it? As Fulton's one of those that you see flying across the track.
I think Bolton is the one that's right behind him on timing and scoring, but yeah, who knows?
Is he completely out? Can we ride on board here if he's actually under power?
It's downhill from here. He's got
but
a
it goes
little
back
uphill. Yeah,
I was gonna say it'll go back uphill on the straight.
Yeah,
unless somebody comes back around to push him, I'm not sure that he's going to see the checkered flag. He's still at 48, 47.
40.
He's going to try and go through pit lane 2.
Trying to cut it short.
38.
Oh, boy.
He can see it now. He can see the checkered flag waving. 22 miles an hour. I think he's going to make it.
He will.
Wow. Johnson will claim third on fumes, quite literally. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, which I assure you are usually fun here on Ford Drink Friday, so stick around. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway. It was 4-Drink Friday, this time with rallycross cars. And Corey Latvala took the victory by a huge margin over those behind him, more than a minute back to the next car, which was Michael Ost in the end. Michael W. Johnson took third, but had to cruise across the line for it with fuel gone. And Michael Bolton finished fourth. From there on down, drivers who finished multiple laps down: Fulton in fifth, Momeyer sixth, Rondeau seventh, Rasmussen eighth, and Schulam in P9. But we've got Corey Latvala to talk to us here. Corey, congratulations, but I'm curious, have you talked to the guys and told them how you won? Will a win through the pit lane stand?
Oh my gosh, that was insane. Everyone was just going crazy about talking about flipping over, and I was just staying quiet, just trying to make no mistakes, and it paid off.
It certainly did. You looked pretty unstoppable out there. But I mean, talk to us about, you had those 5 stop and goes. It looked like the 5th one was served on that last lap, but did they say that you're allowed to do that?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. I actually thought I had my 5, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop on the last lap just in case. And it looks like that was the right move to do. So I got really lucky on that one.
Yeah, we had counted and we thought it was 4, but it was difficult to tell. Talk to us about what it's like trying to wheel these things over the track. You said, you were staying quiet. Were you kind of going only at 9/10 today because of all the dangers of flipping the car?
Oh man, in practice, we were all over the place, bouncing off of walls everywhere. And then it kind of seemed like we get into the race and everyone wasn't making nearly as many mistakes. But I went to serve, or actually I didn't, it wasn't a serve. I was going in to get fuel, and I stop in my pit and I'm like, why am I still here? And I look up and I have a penalty for 45 seconds. I'm like, what? I'm like, we're supposed to be clearing all of those. I'm like, how did that even happen? And that's when Ost was, I think, 10 seconds back. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. And then he got the same thing when he went into the pits after. So it worked out.
Well, congratulations on, I think this is another victory. I don't have the stats with me, but a win here for 4-Drink Friday. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Just my family and friends watching. Hope they enjoyed that. It was probably pretty interesting to watch.
Oh, it definitely was. It was fun for us as well. That was our win. And then up next is Michael Ost with Nick, who finished half a lap behind, but in second place.
Yeah, 1 minute and 12 seconds behind, but still going to get you second place on the podium. Michael Ost, congrats on bringing it home. Talk to us about those last 40 minutes for you. It looked like it was a lot of fun.
Come on, you gotta admit, VIR is just meant to be driven with rallycross cars. I mean, come on. It's a friggin' crazy. I mean, that's the way you go around Oak Tree. I mean, there's no other way. No, Corey ran a friggin' great race. I got knocked out early and I got a 45-second penalty. We both did because we were speeding in the pits. A lot of stuff happened, and we were hoping that Corey would come back to us. But yeah, man, the guy ran a good race and he was gone.
Yeah, exactly. What was it that kept you out in front of everyone else? Did you have a preferred strategy through the grass, or maybe just how aggressive you were over the bumps? I mean, it looked like no one had any idea what this track was going to throw at you with those random hills and divots.
I'm telling you what, every time you came to roller coaster, it was a life and death experience. Like you literally didn't know if you were going to live, you were going to roll, you were going to flip, you were going to endo, you were going to hit the invisible wall that's there. You just didn't know. And that little unknown was just so much fun. And yeah, I found a couple of little lines that really worked for me, but the thing is when you're doing 160 miles an hour over South Bend into Oak Tree, you just don't know where you're going to end up. Are you going to end up on the pavement, or are you going to end up in the tire barrier?
It was fantastic to watch that turf monster. Got to watch out for it. You were the highest non-designated driver tonight. Drink of choice, and what was that strategy like for you?
Oh, that was spiced rum and Coke.
Oh, okay.
It was nice. It was very pleasant. But I can honestly tell you, the last 5 minutes of the race were a little tougher than I expected. going through Oak Tree at 160 miles an hour and trying to brake is like I know I'm relaxed, but this is gonna hurt if I hit those tires.
Man, awesome stuff. Looks like a lot of fun out there for you. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely GSRC for you guys promoting or doing the interviews and doing the whole thing for us, the POC that we race with normally, and the FDF people that we all race with. It's just so much fun and such a good thing. I could imagine if we could get 50 cars, rallycross cars on VIR, it'd just be complete entertainment.
That would be awesome. Well, Michael, congratulations on this night, and you go take care of yourself, buddy. You go get a sofa.
I got a smile on my face and a movie to watch.
Sounds like a plan. Michael Oast coming home in second place. Joe, you've caught up with Michael Johnson in third.
Indeed. And Michael, we noticed from early on that you seem to be the only one trying to play a bit of fuel strategy and get an extra lap out of things there. But considering how it finished for you, would you try that one again, or do you stick to that being the best way through?
I think it was fine. Just it was a bad calculation on the refill on that last lap. I had to come in. I knew by timing that I had to come in, and I was stretching and stretching and stretching. And then that last lap, as I came in, I was hoping the time would run out, and we didn't quite get there. So as I came up, got the splash for the splash and dash, and it needed to be like a double splash and dash because it got me to Oak Tree. And as I was coming out of Oak Tree, it sputtered. So I ran it up to 6th gear and just tried to get as far as I could go. And when it cut, I just pulled in the clutch and was hoping I could get the crest and then down into the little gully and then up over the next crest and then down. I just had to follow the track because if I went across the grass, there was too much of a chance that I even at that pace end up on my lid, because anything that you saw going through the roller coaster from anyone was not planned. There was no way to plan anything going through roller coaster other than my last lap, where I was absolutely certain to stay on the pavement so I would have the least amount of resistance and could make it back around to the start line.
There were a few places that we saw some interesting interpretations. It seemed kind of split, where some drivers would try to cut turn one and some would take the regular pavement through there. We saw you go through. Do you think that's quicker to try and go up close to the wall like that?
Well, so it was interesting. For me, it mattered what my tires were doing. If I had enough rubber on the tires, it was faster to stay on the tarmac because you just came around a little quicker, and it was only a half a second. But after a number of laps, after 10 laps, half a second becomes 5 seconds. So being able to get in there and work the tires and do it the right way, and then once I started to go. It was like right at the end. There's a cone right at the end of the pit lane, the blue cone for the end of pit lane, and right there you could go into brakes, flip the car sideways, and send it into the grass, and just come around the end of the wall there, and go in between it and the flag station. And if that didn't quite work, you just went around the flag station. I think I had to do that one or two times.
It was definitely a lot of fun for us, very different from what we experienced at Zolder. Taking that into consideration, now that we've twice had these rallycross cars, what's another track you think would be a ton of fun to do something like this on?
Well, I always love my home track, COTA, and then my home away from home here at VIR. But I'd love to see, honestly, something like the Green Hell. I want to go and do the Nürburgring. And for that one, we'll make sure it's a week that I can drink. I have to be at COTA tomorrow, and you don't want to get behind the wheel of a Ferrari F12 that belongs to someone else within a certain time of having been completely plastered. So, yeah, I want to do it I want to do that one on a week that I can be a participant in the consuming of that wonderful tequila, as we all know and love, Octavio.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, considering you guys could only do 5 laps here, I'm wondering if they'd be able to make a full lap around the ring in these things. But congratulations on the podium. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Sure. Well, you guys, of course, and the guys who put this on. My client tomorrow, Chris Thompson. Thank him for for hiring me for tomorrow. And yeah, probably Porsche Owners Club, iRacing, for making such a fun platform for us to be able to do this kind of thing.
That was Michael Johnson, third place finisher here today. And that's going to wrap up our interviews. So we, of course, want to thank the sponsors once again. Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank. Be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen to find her Bandcamp and get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Nick, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We get a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because in a month's time, we'll be back on Friday, June 25th for the next 4-Drink Friday. And that, again, will be at 9:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.